All right, welcome to the Keep Shooting podcast. This is the first official episode where we're set up, man. We're set up. We got my man Jeff, my man Brandon set up.
That's goody.
We're in the basement. Today. So I'm really excited for today. I brought Jeff on. Jeff is somebody that I've been working with since July 2020.
Yep.
Yeah, right in the middle of COVID, and we did all of our work outside. I just thought it'd be interesting to bring in an outside perspective to hear how you've made the transformation shooting, what you've learned, obviously. But then at the same time, I feel like you and I are kind of similar into how we think about things and everything like that. So I know that the conversation go way beyond basketball and all that 100%. Kind of stuff. So before I even let you speak, because I'm afraid that you're not going to let me talk after. So Jeff, just the sidebar to fill you in, because he's not going to let you know this. So Jeff went to Felician. Felician was in the same conference that I played in college. Now, does Felician ever beat the school I played at, which is now Jefferson? No, they don't. All right, so we need to get that completely out of the way.
Why do we need to bring that up, though?
Because, the people need to know that I'm the alpha. Second thing that we need to get out of the way.
We played in different eras.
Stop it.
Let's do that. We played in different eras.
Oh, yeah, I played in an era where it was tougher.
All right.
We grew up different. And then, second thing that everybody needs to know is before this podcast started, Jeff's sitting on 2 blankets right now.
Oh, 120%. Let me tell you why.
Jeff is sitting on 2 blankets.
Let me tell you why.
Because he feels threatened.
No, because I'm like all legs. I got a short torso, so I don't want to be sitting down and like a 2-year-old, you know what I'm saying, looking up the whole time. So, I had to even the playing field.
Okay, fair. Anyway, so this is what we'll do. Like I said, this is gonna be just organic, off the top conversation, just like we always have, right? 100%. So it's the same type of thing. I kind of want to lead off with you kind of explaining what your mindset is in terms of what you're trying to accomplish, and where our role, our relationship as a teacher and as a player, kind of starts to fit into that, and what you've learned. Where has your perspective on things changed, like all that kind of stuff, like just whatever you feel on it. I feel like it'll be valuable for anybody to hear.
Yeah, I mean, first, this is actually kind of the first time of being open with it. My goal is the highest level. I'm a person that believes set the impossible goal. Why not set it? What I mean? It gives you a reason to continue to wake up every day, and to continue to realize until I get here, then what I mean. I still have a long ways to go, right. Even though it's always closer than what we think. And that's the first thing that changed. I look at our relationship as kind of like Mr. Miyagi and Daniel. Literally, bro.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? As far as the approach, I think the biggest thing we talked about was being able to speak the same language. I started playing the game later than a lot of guys. So, when you're working out with certain people and they're using terms and it's bro, I don't understand what you're talking about. It's rare that you can meet a person who can get how you think and can converge their language into yours. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it really all took the term there. It's you're closer than what you think you are to becoming what you need to become. Right. And I think for every shooter, just not even just shooter, for every person in the world, when we set a goal, in a bar, we look at people who are already there, and it's oh, dang, well, I'll never be able to get there, or, it might take me forever. But then it's bro, you're one conversation away, you're one thought away, which leads to you being one action away from being what you want to be. So really, it was mental before it was physical.
Yeah, it always is, right? I feel like everything comes down to, if you can, I said it on my last podcast, but if you can see yourself in that end goal. I remember, I think, within the first week we worked with each other, I was like, hey, man, what's your goal?
Yeah, no, it wasn't the first week. It was literally the next day.
It was what is it?
Literally.
And then you showed it. And then from then, it's been well, let's just go there, right? So I think you bring up interesting points, because working with you, so every player is different. You're a super athletic player, right? You're very, very athletic.
I appreciate it, man.
So easy. And so I see things as much what you take from me learning wise and what you do. You help me just as much as a teacher, because from my perspective, I get to work with somebody who, in my eyes, I've seen players at the highest level. You're just as athletic as those guys, right? So watching you move and then seeing what you're strong at, what you struggle with, helps me as a teacher in the long run, because it's like, oh, I've seen that before.
Yeah.
Like we had a moment the other day where we were coming off. It was like a sprint into a catch and shoot at the top of the key.
Oh, right.
And watching you do it, and you were missing shots, and I'm watching it. I'm trying to process like why you're missing shots, and it came back down to you're so athletic that when you get moving quick, it's like everything goes at the same time, and it was a matter of getting you to keep that. But now we have to move the ball even quicker than you're accustomed to moving. I think you rattled off like 4 or 5 in a row from top of the key, NBA 3 on a dead sprint. So I learned just as much from you. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, that I'm probably going to steal more from you than you're going to take from me.
I think it's an even exchange, man. Because it's like you could say that, but then it's like we talk about like even on the side, like we talked about earlier, like you read different books to hope that somebody could say something that resonates different. It's like one of the biggest things that was like always a struggle for me in life is like, yo, your pace to the journey. That's something that I've learned with you. Like, yo, like even just using that example, like, yo, once I get moving, but everything got to be going at the same pace. Like my feet can't be somewhere my mind is not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like to be able to make that adjustment. I think it's actually a really, really dope to hear that. And it's like cool to hear like, oh wow, like it's dope to know that you're teaching somebody else something at the same time as you learning one of the most important things that you need to learn to get to where you gotta go. Right. So I think that's fire, bro.
Yeah, man. I just think it's cool. I tell other people that want to teach, and you brought it up when you first started talking, but it was about like relating on the language level, right? So like how you respond to information. I tell people when I want to teach, they're like, hey man, what's the most important thing, or what do I have to know at the end of the day to get through to players? And to me, that the big answer in that is like you have to be able to speak 100 different languages, right? Like I need to be able to relate to you, right? A guy that has the highest aspirations in the world, and then the next hour go relate to a kid that just wants to make his JV team. You know what I mean? And he's going to connect the information entirely differently. So as a teacher, it has to be that way. And if you can only teach it one way, you're limiting yourself to that one type of client.
But it's so crazy to see how like, yo, like, I don't think you understand like how like admirable the community you have created. Not that you're going to create, because you already have, right? Like, that's so crazy. Like, so shout out to my guy Justin at ORU. Right.
Or Roberts, man.
Like, literally.
He's going to be excited to hear that. He
like,
listens to the podcast.
Like, nah, bro. Like, I was talking to him the other day. I'm like, bro, like, I cannot wait to see what you do. But it's like, I don't get to meet him if this community isn't there. Right. So, like, we go in different places, and, like, I'm looking at it's like somebody from Switzerland followed me. I've never been to Switzerland. Never even thought about going. But now it's like, dang, I kind of, quote, unquote, know somebody there. So it's just like to see, like, yo, like, the best salesman in the world knows how to speak every time. Right. Every single one, bro. So for you to like 100 different languages, bro, it's like it's more than that. Right. To me, like it's like you got a community of 100,000, soon to be maybe one day multi-million on the way. Right. You know what I'm saying? So like that approach is just crazy that you know that, because a lot of dudes like they think I have to be like one track minded, or I have to stick to this. I can't go outside of my box. It's like, bro, you're not gonna grow like that. Right. So
Brandon and I had a conversation the other day. We were talking about like basketball, like Brandon's whole thing. It's like, man, I love shooting basketball content. And if anybody doesn't follow Brandon, BCTV,
get
right?
At
it. Amazing content, right? But he was like, my true passion is storytelling. Like I just want to tell a story. It doesn't matter if it's through basketball, whatever it is. And I was like, I love basketball, but I love everything that kind of comes with it, almost even more so. Like I'll teach shooting to forever, right? Mm-hmm. But it becomes so much more than that at the end of the day, man. It's cool.
That's a big place, and even like to be on that, like being like that's my brother, right? So it's like, yo, to know that like, all right, he loves the game, but it's like, man, everything he does outside of it to me is so much more potent, because you like, it's like you never know the layers of a person. Like you're never going to know all the layers of the game. Right. You're never going to know all the layers of life. So it's important to understand, like yo, like you have to at least know a little bit of everything. Not that you got to be great at everything. Right. Not that you got to be, but it's like, yo, it's always good to know like wisdom and knowledge, because you need it, bro.
Right. I agree, man. I agree. I wanted to ask, so when we first started, what do you think? What changed for you the most in terms of your approach to shooting the basketball, and where do you see yourself being able to take it in terms of, when you do get to that level? Like, how are you planning on implementing the information that you learned from this point, from how you responded to it the first day to almost like how you respond to it now? I guess would probably be a better way of putting it. Where's your mind from the first day to your mind now 8 months later?
From the first day, like when we went out there, like I that's something like I watch that film all the time. Like if I'm ever having a day where it's like, all right, bro, I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna get to this, I always go back and like see where I was. I think that's important. Not to stay in that moment, but to go back and be like, bro, you could still be here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That first day, my approach was like, bro, as much as you can, don't mess up. like don't mess up. But in knowing that, I already knew like coming in, bro, like it's because this is what you do, this is what you specialize in.
Right.
It's gonna be like every little thing. But I would say the thing that I've noticed most is like, bro, like I can shoot.
Yeah.
Like that's like that. Like sometimes it's like, bro, like you'll have like a span where it's like, yo, like you knocking out shots. Like, and I'm saying like in a season, forget a workout, like a season. Like I remember like, so this past year before COVID stuff happened, like the month of February, I was like knocking stuff down, right? But like the year, I was like the year, I think I finished like 34%.
Right.
And I'm like, bro, to me, it's like, yo, I'm struggling. But I got to the point where it's like, bro, like I can shoot the ball.
Yeah.
Now working with you, it's like, nah, I really can shoot. Now it's just about being consistent in those areas.
Man. That's where it gets interesting to me, because like to me, you've been in this long enough that if I would almost think that if you put somebody in front of you, you may not know how to verbalize it to the best of your ability yet.
Yeah.
But you'd be able to work with a guy, any player on a certain level, and start to communicate what they had to do.
Yeah.
And when you can do that, you're now setting yourself up for, like you said, I had a great February. Well, why did I have a great February?
Right.
And then you can now connect to that. Yeah. So then a great February turns into a great March. Yeah. A great March turns into a great and then snowballs. But you only get to that should your understanding of it continue to expand over and over and over again, right? So that, like, to me, watching you, it's always awesome to me when I have a player that you do something, and if you do it wrong, you could be like, oh, I released it too late.
Yeah. Like, right? But it's like, yo, it's like, I think the biggest thing, like the reason why we struggle is not knowing why we're struggling.
Right.
It's like a lot of times it's like, oh, well, do this. And it's like, bro, why should I do that? If this is uncomfortable to my body,
right,
tell me why I'm supposed to change this, right? So it's like, yo, I think being able to like identify elements before a success or a failure, like that sets you up.
Yeah.
So now it's like, even like we'll be shooting, right? And I'll knock down a shot, but I'll be like, yo, that was a bad rep. Right. And then you'll be like, why? And I'll just do the movement that I did. And it's like, you on the money. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's a different level, man. That's a different level.
But it's like, I know, like, at the level I want to get to, bro, like, I got to be like that.
Right.
Because I understand my disadvantage, but I also understand my advantage. If I'm able to be militant and meticulous about one thing,
right,
and tone in on that, and even on a rough day, still have a better day than most,
yeah,
then I'll climb the ladder I want to climb.
Yeah.
Like, period. That's it.
It's gonna be cool, man. I think, like, I think the coolest part, like, we'll have a crazy story to tell.
100%.
Wherever you end up, right?
Yeah.
I told you one of the first days I met you, or not one of the first. Well, we have been working for a little bit, but I mean, first of all, wherever you go, who knows where it's gonna end up. But I remember watching you with other people. Remember, I told you the one day I was like, I had clients come and you introduce yourself.
Yeah.
I was like, the way that you present yourself just as a person to people, it's just gonna be. I mean, the basketball side of things are gonna be awesome, but the other side of things, in the long run, I think we're gonna.
And I think
really
that's for me, like, if I'm being honest, I don't think I ever even said this to like him. He's behind the camera, like, bro, it's not about the game for me, bro. Like, I understand, like, one day I'm not gonna be able to move as fast as I was. I'm not gonna be able to do all these things. Am I gracious, like, that I'm able to be in this point? Am I grateful for it? Is it a gracious thing? Like, yeah, then I'm still able to go after what I want to go after. But it's like, bro, at the end of the day, man, like, I know that there's a kid who's like me,
right,
who's gonna look on TV and be like, dang, I want to be like that. And there's a kid like me who met somebody who might have been a jerk, You might have had a bad game. You might have had a bad day or whatever. But that kid is going to remember in that moment, the person who I look up to could have gave me a catapult to like, yo, you can really do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But it's not just kids that need it too, bro. Sometimes we run into adults, we run into teenagers who like, bro, like, you're having the worst whatever. And it's like, all you need to see is somebody genuinely let you know, like, bro, you're going to be straight.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? For me, it's about that. Like, if I can get to that platform, bro, and affect the world on that level, bro, I'm cool. Because I've done my job as a human being.
Right.
It's not about a basketball player. It's about a human being. I've done my job.
Right.
So, yeah.
I love it, man. I love it. All right. So, couple questions.
Yeah.
One, do you think anybody has the ability to shoot the basketball?
Yes.
Knowing what you know now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my whole thing, like I remember growing up, certain people would say with certain players, "Oh, that person can't. They can't do it. That person's just not built to shoot. They're not built to do that." My personal opinion now is that through working with enough people, and hopefully now that you understand the information what you're doing, it's in everybody's ability to do it, right? It's just a matter of understanding how it works, and then it's able to be done. So
understanding and the proper teaching of it, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think like the thing I respect. I know it was a little debacle about something that happened on social media, right? Like which like I literally it's like, yo, like, bro, what are y'all talking about? It's like, yo, just because a person teaches a different way to you,
right,
doesn't mean it's not applicable.
Right.
Like, and that's like, yo, like how we're taught. It's like in life, period. Like so many things we taught like the wrong way, and it's like, dang, I didn't know this was a better way.
Right.
And it's not necessarily there are Jones like, bro, all right, this is just the wrong way.
Right.
But when it was shooting, it's like, okay, that's cool, but it could be more efficient,
right,
if you do this.
Yeah.
And then once you're able to like do that, bro, I think anybody, like I'm about to teach an 8-year-old how to shoot the ball. Like my nephew, he hoops, and he's like, bro, he's gonna be tough.
Well, you should sign him up to keep your subscription.
Oh, 120%, 120%, man.
I don't know why.
I don't know why you're taking
my clients, bro.
I was gonna try to bring him to one of the like Saturday morning sessions. But I was like, yo, I might like one of my sessions. I might just sit out and let him get with you.
Man, whatever.
Yeah,
whatever.
So he's gonna be a killer.
I think that the interesting thing about shooting to me is that when I'm trying to get away from it, but if you always point to examples of things that are, you're never gonna surpass what is now. Like, does that make sense? Like, if we're always looking at it like an example of saying, like, okay, so. If you only use NBA players as an example of the benchmark of shooting the basketball, you're now assuming that every NBA player knows exactly what he's doing. You're saying that they're the absolute best at what they do in the world. And if you're going to take that approach, then you have to take that approach with every NBA player. Yeah. And you can't. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's where, to me, I remember having a conversation with another trainer. I was doing a clinic. And he was like, man, you teach it this way, but everybody else teaches it this way. Why do you teach it that way? And my answer to him was, I'm not trying to help build what has been. I'm trying to help build what has never existed.
Have you ever heard? What I mean? Have you ever heard of the saying, "Old men dream
pressure bust
dreams"?
Pipes? Oh, no.
Yeah, nope. Not down. That's called Rick Myers. Pressure bust pipes. Old men dream dreams. Young men see visions.
I like it.
Like it's one of the best books I ever read in my life, bro. And it's just like, yo, like you have to be willing to understand that, bro. No matter if you usher it in, or the next person, or 20 years from now, the evolution of how something is taught or how something is done is going to happen. Like that's why the game is where it is today. Like It's funny. I talked to my dad. He was like, man, back in the day, these dudes, and I'm like, right. And if you put a lot of dudes in the days NBA, they wouldn't have the skill to get to even be in the first quarter. Right. So it's like you can't. It's like everything evolves, and that's not to discredit anybody from the past, right? That's not. It's not to discredit whatever, but it's like, okay, like right now, Steph's the best shooter to ever play the game, but 20 years from now, it might be a kid that's from Slovakia that's might
the craziest part. And there will be a kid,
and 100%, it's life. There has no choice but to be that, right?
Right.
So it's like, yo, just understanding that, like, you have to be willing to know, like, you must evolve.
Right. I love it. It goes back to the whole idea of what we talked about in the beginning, in terms of you have to be able to see where you're going to end up. You know what I mean? Like, see it before it happens. It's the same thing. Like, that quote is a beautiful quote, because some kid out there is seeing themselves as the greatest shooter that ever lived. And as much as people want to say Steph's amazing,
100%.
people are going to come along that are better than him. You know what I mean? Like that's going to be the insane thing in years to come. So I think that's really.
How do you feel? And how do you feel knowing that you inspire somebody to be a shooting coach? To me, I thought that was the coolest thing to find out.
Like, it's crazy, man.
It's like, yo, like, it's cool that you're helping me with my goal, right? Like, wax on, wax off, damn son, right? Keep shooting. But it's like, to know that somebody who was like, yo, you know what? All right, that's not my goal, but I can do this.
Right.
How does that feel, bro?
It's crazy, man. It's a really cool thing. It's a really cool thing. And it's another thing that anybody can do, right? Like, it's one of those things that information's everywhere. Mm-hmm. Like my whole thing that I've picked up is like me taking from hundreds of people, like my college coach, Rob Fodor, like there's so many guys out there that I just learned from. And then I think it'll be cool because there's not many people that just specialize in one thing, right? Like there's trainers that do a whole bunch of things. There's not a lot of people that just specialize in just shooting the basketball. And to me, that's a lane that, like, if you're willing to just learn how to speak, do all that kind of stuff, like, why can't you be super successful at it? Why can't there be great shooting coaches all over the world? And then all of a sudden, maybe this kind of stuff, like, stems from, who knows? Maybe some kid is like, I want to be a shooting coach. I don't even want to play. I just want to be a shooting coach. And ends up being a shooting coach. And then in 15 years from now, ends up finding that kid from Slovakia, like you said,
100%.
And then works with that kid on a level that no one's ever seen before, and then that kid becomes, you know what I mean? Like, you don't know the impact. So I think it's really cool, man. I think it's really cool.
I think it's safe to say you're like a shooting philosopher, bro. like you might be like y'all might be like founding fathers or something, bro. Like that's crazy.
It has to start somewhere. Yeah. Like me and Rob's thing always is change the game, right? So change the game. Why not? Why not have people think about it differently? And I know there's pushback with certain things, but I think that as time goes, because of the people that we're now able to impact, so like social media and just having the reach, I think it's going to be insane. I really do think it's going to be crazy. Like, watch 10 years from now, the impact it has, like, from the kids that are like 10, 12 years old, and now they're going to be going to college and all this stuff, but that's how they learn shooting, and then maybe the ball's being shot better than ever. Yeah. I think that's going to be really, really cool when it's all said and done, man. So, I appreciate you coming on, man. This was fun. This was different. This was definitely different. But I appreciate. Do you have any closing words you want to say to the people?
So, like, I always thought, like, bro, like, you look like your middle name is like Curtis.
Xavier.
Michael Curtis Dunn.
Xavier.
That's crazy, bro.
It's Patrick.
Nah, no cap. It's Xavier or it's Patrick.
It's Patrick.
It's Patrick, bro. For real.
Yeah,
like Patrick. On God.
I'm the most Irish person in the world.
Bro, but you look like your name.
Dunn. D-U-N-N.
But you can't have a Curtis in there.
No, there's no Curtis. No Curtis.
I would have hung my hat on that easy. I would have put the house on that and lost everything.
Patrick, we have a little bit of time. I'll ask you this. We'll finish with this question. Who is a better actor at being not themselves? Tom Hanks or Mark Wahlberg?
I would have to go with Tom Hanks. I ain't never seen a Mark Wahlberg film where he wasn't Mark Wahlberg. Never seen it.
Okay, so my argument back to you would be, what's the one film where Tom Hanks isn't Tom Hanks?
Was he in the road to
must have been a good one.
Polar Express. He was in Polar Express, right?
You can't do an animated feature.
He wasn't Tom Hanks. There's your answer.
Watch this. Castaway, Tom Hanks on an island.
Great, that's a great film.
Right? But Tom Hanks on an island, right?
Okay.
The Terminal. Tom Hanks in an airplane terminal.
The Polar Express. That wasn't Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks is a cartoon. Anyway, you can go on and on with Tom Hanks film. And this is what we're going to do. I just have the people that really know me know that I have this conversation about Tom Hanks all the time. And this is just a way to put it out in the world. So that's how we're going to finish it.
That's cool.
Keep Shooting Podcast. First recorded episode, my man Jeff Lewis. I appreciate you guys for being here. And until next time, man, keep shooting.
Yes, sir.